Victoria will go into a 7-snap-day lockdown. Back to those restrictions which we
Are you an established reseller looking for a new product to niche down on? Or are you stuck in lockdown and you've literally got no more videos to watch on YouTube? Either way, you're here for a reason, and that's to talk about toys. If you've been on my channel for a little while, you know I love toys. And today, I'm actually going to show some of the ones that have been selling for me on eBay, me personally. If you are new here and you do like these sort of videos, I have done a few videos on bolo items to pick up, toys that you might see on the thrift or you might see on your local Facebook marketplace. So if you do want to check those out and you do want to learn a few more toy categories that I'm aware of, then jump over and have a look at those. But today I want to specifically touch down on a few items that I have sold. So this time around we might be talking about some of the toys that I specifically spoke about on those videos, and the reason is today I'm going to actually show what I have sold just recently and some of the items that are moving well for me. Toys, new, old, they're great, they're nostalgic, they bring back memories, and now they're super collectible. A lot of us love to collect toys, and just it gives you something to thrive a passion on. You can go out hunting for them if you're someone that only wants to find them in the wild, whether it be thrift stores, pawn shops, garage sales, all that sort of stuff. Some people will just complete their collections online, and they come to people like us that do enjoy going out and finding items, and then we can actually sell it, make a little bit of a profit, and then they can add to their collection. So that's one of the things that I love most about toy hunting, the fact that if I do find something that I don't want, I can actually make a little bit of money to put back into something that I do want, because that's part of my business, is to resell things online. Anyway, I'll shut me dick up and get into it. Every single person in this world knows who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are. They are potentially, well, they are. They're the biggest toy franchise getting around. You tell me in the comments a franchise that is still going as strong as the Turtles that has been around since the 80s. You're going to struggle to find one, because it has been through so many different generations. There's so many different just scales of toys, so many different movies, TV shows. It's absolutely massive. It's a franchise that I just respect and appreciate so much. Some of the older stuff, the bright, vibrant colors of the 80s and 90s, they just really stand out. I think it's great. But some of these toys still go well, new and old. You can retail arbitrage this stuff, and there's a few things to look out for. I'll jump on that in a minute, but I'm going to show you some stuff that I do when it comes to selling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Bundles. So bundles is great for stuff that does have a bit of damage, a bit of wear, or if you just need it out the door quick. So if you're a seller, you don't want it hanging around, you don't want to display it on a shelf or anything like that, you want it gone, you can just bundle it up. You can either run it as an auction, because people like myself would probably bid on it, wanting to part it out, or collect it, obviously. Collectors might want to buy the whole bundle. They can part out the stuff they don't need to get some of the money back, and then keep some stuff for probably a cheaper price than what they pay on the main market. Bundles work really well for the more modern stuff, so quite often you're going to see Ninja Turtles in op shops for around $1 each. If you are collecting a fair chunk of these, you can make up a bundle of, say, 15, 20 toys. It's cost you 20 bucks. Bundle it up, throw it up to 60, 70. Someone might actually get on there, because people just want to buy the bundle, they want it all at once, and it's really easy for them to do it. So obviously make sure you check them all individually, that you don't have some rare gem, but the Turtles, they will go really well. If you are selling some that are damaged, collectors will still buy them. Just make sure you note all the damage in there, so they're aware of it and they don't get any nasty surprises when they open it. So I'll show a couple of specific lines. Here's one I sold here, Donatello. Now, a product I've spoken about a lot on this channel is Mighty Max, and that's a toy line that I love. But these are sort of similar to the Mighty Max in the concept. You can actually open them up, and you had the little parts to it. You could play as a little play set. Now, this one was damaged. The back, even though it stayed on, it stayed shut, the hinge was broken, so it came off. It was missing some of the parts, so it wasn't in perfect condition. I noted all that in the description, and I still got 60 bucks for a plus ship. So these are an absolute grail to get. People love them. They are highly collectible if you do find them, and you can get them for a couple of dollars, even if they're missing parts, even if they're broken. It's definitely worth getting, because they can go for a lot of money, especially complete. Any of the older unique stuff, you know, you can be banging these out of the tubs in the op shops for, say, 50 cents or $1, and it could be worth $15 to $20 a piece, plus postage. So it's always worth looking at it, and if you do see it being pre-1999, it's probably more than likely worth your time getting it if you're only going to pay $1. looking for the characters when you're in a KMART or Big W or something like that that aren't overly saturated. So the turtles themselves, there's always going to be a heap of them put out, but people actually chase the Bebop, the Rocksteady, Shredder, April. They chase those toys. So if you do see them on shelf in stores, sometimes if you do want to make a couple of bucks, they are a bit rarer and it's actually worth maybe having a sniff at them. But even the older stuff like here, those sort of characters that aren't the actual specific turtles, sometimes just do a little bit better because they weren't as mass produced as the turtles were themselves. There's probably less in circulation. Posable, bendable figures. Now, what we're looking for here is figures where heaps of shit moves, their guts moves, you know, their fingers, their arms, everything moves. You can pose them. They are really well made, really well produced. Sometimes these toys can be worth a lot of money. So if there's a lot of detail in a figure, if you spot a figure out on the thrift and they can bend just about every part in its body, maybe look it up. Just have a bit of a sticky beak into what it actually is, because posable figures are usually high quality and well made, and quite often they can go for really good money. So for example here, sold these two Spider-Man figures. Now, got 29 a piece plus postage. These went really quick too. I got offers on these almost straight away, and I just took them because what I did, I actually bought a big bag of toys a while back. It was mostly Spider-Man stuff for $5 or $10 or something. So I'm literally in at these at pennies, like literally 10 cents, 20 cents. There's that much stuff in there, and these were two of the highlights in that lot. And I want to show these today because there's a posable figures. They're only small, but they can pack a punch. So we've got $60 combined on the two of them. I'm pretty happy with that. But if there's more detail in figures, it's definitely worth checking them out because they could be high quality and well made. Let's jump on the other end of the spectrum. Poorly made. Well, not poorly made, but not as well made as the real stuff. Now, bootleg figures. I talk about bootleg a lot. Now, a lot of people get confused with bootleg and fake sometimes. Basically, what a bootleg is, it's something that is vintage, that was made back in the day to kind of take off that style of toy. So, you know, I've spoken about Masters of the Universe. They had a lot of different knockoffs and whatnot, but they're still pretty well-made figures back in the day. A fake is someone that would try and make it now and make it act like it was from then. That's a fake. I'm going to smash through a couple really quickly. Now, this one here, I've done a lot of research on. I couldn't find out what it was. Now, if you do know who this guy is, let me know in the comments. I used a lot of keywords from other kind of bootleg series, including the Motu and Hercules names, just to kind of show that I don't really know what it is, but it's definitely a vintage knockoff figure. Now, the person that bought it left positive feedback saying they have no idea what it is either, but it just was too cool to pass up. So $75 out of that, and that came out of a big lot that I got recently on a video. I'll put it up there if you want to have a watch. But he came out of that, and you know, we got a lot of different toys in that, lots of different bootleg figures that have been ticking along really nicely, but that was one of them. And even if you don't know what they are, sometimes if you can see these bootleg figures for 50 cents and you cannot find any information on it, make it up, because sometimes a collector might not know either and they just got to have it. Next one is the Sun Gold Galaxy Warrior. Now, I've spoken about these before on this channel. This is kind of a bootleg line from the Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe is hot right now because out on Netflix, all that sort of stuff, people are going crazy for it. People are starting to recollect the vintage toy line, even though it was a massive, massive thing to collect already. Some people are now jumping on board. Now this here, I found him in one of my previous videos for 50 cents in an op shop. And look, it's not sort of something that I would personally collect. That's going to be, I'm going to talk about this one in another video, upcoming video, but he has gone on to sell for $55. So 50 cents into $55, no complaints on that one. This was another one, I had no idea what it was. Done a bit of research. Now, Google Lens is your best friend in these situations when you don't know what something is, but not even Google Lens could really help me with this. I found something similar called Devilman, so I called him Devilman. Anyway, the person that bought it pretty quick, and they said, where in the hell did you find this? And I just said I got a lot of stuff. Why is that? They wanted more. Apparently it had parts that come with it, but they said they collect these certain things and they are really, really hard to get. I said, be honest with me. What would you be willing to pay on one of these? Obviously, I'm still going to send it. You know, I'm not a dog. I'm not going to cut the thing. They're probably the only person that's going to buy it. So it doesn't really matter. But I said, what would you pay? And they said they would have paid up around $100 for this one. So I appreciate them being honest with me, but I'm still happy because, once again, paid just about bugger all for this, and it's gone on to sell for the $40 mark. So just keep your eye on those bootleg figures. Those that have been here for a little while know I love a good Street Shark. I'm a big fan of Street Sharks. I collect Street Sharks. I love everything about Street Sharks. But something I haven't spoken heaps about on here is the bootleg line of Street Sharks. And there's a few different ones. There's a couple that I have actually seen, but these ones here are sort of the Mannix Mighty Sharks. I think that's what they were sort of labelled. But I had a couple here. So one of them came in that big lot that I showed off on that previous video. And the other one I got a long time ago, and I kind of wanted to keep it. But talking to my good mate Scotty Garvin, he sold one of these a while ago for $120. So he said, yeah, get it up. So I thought, bugger it, we'll put it up. We put them both up for $120. Sat for a fair while. They've been in the store for a little while, but someone sent me an offer of $80 a piece on these. And I am literally in the two of them for like $1. Seriously, I've barely paid anything for it. I thought one day, probably going to repurchase these or hopefully re-find them in a bulk lot for my own collection. But for now, I thought, bugger it. We're going to move these on. $160 out of the sake of $1. I can reinvest that into other collections and other projects that I got on the go. The Mighty Sharks, some of these bootleg Street Sharks are going for more money than the original Street Sharks. So keep your eyes peeled on them. Plush toys. You're going to find as many of them as you can a cockhead at a Collingwood game. The thing is, just like those cockheads at a Collingwood game, there's not many good ones in the op shop. It's pretty rare you're going to come across them, but you can dig through, and, you know, come up with nothing. Simply, the thing that I do when I'm looking at plush toys, anything that is kind of, you know, stands out that you often see, I don't tend to look at it, if that makes any sense. I look at stuff that's super unique and definitely vintage. Me personally, I find plush toys do sit around for a fair while, especially those ones that are only worth the $10 to $20 mark. So for me, I leave them be. I'm not into plush toys as a collector. I don't want them, and I don't need them sitting around in my house. So I'll only sort of get plush toy usually if they are, you know, pretty unique, they go for a high price, or I can't comp them at all. So I'm going to show off a couple here that I got. So when I say unique, here's one here, the Crazy Frog. It's a dickless Crazy Frog. He doesn't have his cock with him. Remember the old ad where he was cruising around on his bike and he had the wang hanging out and he was all happy and up and about? Well, he didn't have that on this one. I don't know if that lost value, but anyway, he went on to sell very quickly and for a decent price. This was only a small plush too. Some of the bigger ones can go upwards of $100. This was a very small one. It was 5-6 inches or something like that. So I moved on very quick. That's something, for example, that is pretty unique, pretty iconic, and moved on fast. The next one here is Noddy. Everyone knows Noddy. Well, this one, he was an early 2000s plush. A fairly big plush. I can't remember, he was about 30 centimeter plush, this one. He went on for $42.50. $42.50 for a used plush toy. What the hell, man? Like, people will buy this stuff, people collect this stuff, and if you are cruising past the plush toys, I 100% tell you, do your research on them first, because you could end up sitting with a tub full of plush, sit around and you just can't move. But some of them, they can go for good money, and I've seen plush toys go for, you know, ridiculous amounts of money. Now, anyone that knows me knows I do like the wrestling figures. We have quite a few of them over here. Big fan. Now, one of them, I did do a video a while ago. I done an unboxing of the Hasbro line from 1991. It went through to about 94 from the top of my head. Hasbro figures are these little guys. They really collectible now, and I got a bulk lot. Now, I do keep a lot of them. They are small. This is a Sergeant Slaughter here. This is how big they are. I've been through a lot of these in my time, and they do go on for really good money at the minute. They're really collectible. So if you do spot these smaller figures, you know, they all have something unique about them, whether it's their spring-loaded arms or some of them bob up and down, all that sort of thing. But if you do spot them, they are probably worth picking up if you can get them for a couple of bucks, because some of them can go on for $40 to $50 odd. Now, I said that in that last video, but I'm going to bang a few up here because they have been selling like hotcakes for me. So any doubles that I get have been sold. I'll show some of the higher priced ones, but these will range generally from about $15 plus post through to about $50 plus post. So, you know, it's kind of a win-win if you're only paying $1 or $2, because if you're charging your shipping, you know, you're still going to get your $15. So the Hasbro wrestling figures in general, I think it's probably a good thing to look out for them, because they are very highly collectible. Like, I collect them. I think they're great. Nostalgic people, they want the older stuff, but they still release new figures, you know, every few weeks that are just people are going mad for them. So Action Man, all the boys, we're on Action Man. Surely my sort of generation got into Action Man. I had a couple of Action Men, and it was great. It was kind of the equivalent for guys like for Barbie, you know, or ventured on from G.I. Joe. Action Man was a titty, especially through the late 90s. Anyway, I've got some tips on Action Man. Action Man doesn't always move well. Now, there are some certain ones fully clothed and with their weapons that will go for good money. If it's sealed in box, yes, as always with vintage toys, it can go for good money. Now, one thing I like to do with Action Man, generally, you know, you get some sneaky op shops that'll chuck $10 on Action Man, and quite often I won't touch them. But if there is Action Man there for, say, you know, $1, even $2, I will grab them and eventually make up little bulk lots. Now, here's an example of just 3. They still have their clothes. You know, I'm getting $40 for that. I'm invested in that at about $6. So the little bulk lots works best for me, and that's something that I like to do with Action Man. I have a couple listed at the minute that are probably around the $25, $30 mark on their own, but anything sort of 15 and under, I bundle them up because they seem to go fairly quick and you can get some alright money for them. So it's definitely worth looking at them, but don't go too silly and don't pay up for, you know, rubbish, because some of them don't go for heaps. I want to talk younger kids stuff. I want to talk about Teletubbies. Some young kids like my son start following shit that was made 20 years ago because they've got nostalgic parents that pump shit into their head, and then they want to buy really expensive toys, and it gets annoying. But anyway, why I want to talk about that is because I got these Teletubbies things here. And Teletubbies, although it is still on the TV these days, some Teletubbies stuff is actually kind of hard to get. Parents go out looking for Teletubbies and there's nothing around. You can only find it from scumbag resellers like us with the prices jacked. Someone even wrote on one of my comments on one of my videos about, you know, their child liked Teletubbies and they had a very hard time trying to do a Teletubbies birthday party. So, you know, those shows that aren't really on these days, it's definitely worth looking into them. And this little Teletubby lot I got on a previous video, and look, it's gone on to sell pretty well in a pretty short amount of time. Like, it was basically rubbish. There was, look at this creepy little bastard here. He kind of freaked me out. The purple one there, Winky Dipsy or whatever his name is, his little wind-up thing didn't work, and I did note that in the description, but someone still paid up for these and went at asking price. So keep your eye out for like that nostalgic stuff for young kids. You know, Wiggles these days, OG Wiggles, some of their stuff's harder to get because Jeff isn't there anymore. People are looking for that shit. You know, your young kid gets a fascination with Jeff. He hates Emma. Bugger off, Emma. We want Jeff. And you can't buy Jeff stuff anymore, so you got to go online to get it and pay up for it. That's just the way of the world. That's how it works. So that sort of stuff, definitely keep your eye on. I just want to take a quick minute to say thank you to Nelly the Flipping Boomer for shouting me not a coffee, a froffie. Yes, a froffie. Thank you very much, Nelly. Nelly the Flipping Boomer. You can find her on YouTube and Instagram. She's flipping stuff out the back of a bus, no kidding. But she has gone on. I've put a link there now, so if you do want to support the channel in any way, don't feel obliged. It's there for anyone that wants to. You can shout the channel a coffee/froffie. So thank you very much, Nelly. Nelly has been a big supporter of mine for a long time, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much, Nelly. Well, that's me done today. I got to talk about some toys again. Got it out of my system. You know, I always love talking about that stuff, and if you do like that stuff, let me know below, and I'll continue to talk about it because toy lines, vintage, woo, it's my jam. I love it. But I appreciate you hanging around. If you're still here, if you've been through all of that, I'm going to go scoot off now and play with myself. Play with me toys, and see you in the next video, Coco.